Hello, and in this video we're going to learn all about using divs to create a website layout. Okay, so here you can see a web page where the main area is divided into sections, and as you can see here we have the different parts of it in div elements, and in the CSS sheet you can see that we have different div elements that are styled separately. So we're just going to be learning how to do all of that. Okay, so the first thing we need is a div tag. So we just add div and its corresponding end div. And let's just say that this div is going to be the header. So I'm going to label it as class equals header. And what I'm going to do is put the header into a container. So let's just call it header. And because I could use this as a header or footer, I'm just going to call it header footer. Okay. So that goes in speech marks. So just add speech marks there. Okay. So div class equals header footer. Sorry, the speech marks need to be around the name rather than the rest of it. Okay, so this div is going to be inside a larger container. So I'm just going to make another div and call this one class equals container. Okay, and sorry, I had a bit of a mistake on that. So right, there we go. So that class equals container, and I'm going to have to do two end divs because I've got two start divs. So end div, that would be for the header footer, and then another end div for the container end div. Okay. So inside the header footer, I'm not going to put anything. I'm just going to style these with a particular color. So I need to go to the style sheet and start a class for the container. And with the container, I want it to be just a certain height. I'm not really going to style any colors in it. All I'm going to do is put a height property in, and I'm going to set that to around 500 pixels, just so we don't have to scroll up and down on the screen. Then I'm going to do my header footer div, and I'm going to style this so that it has a particular color. So I'm just going to say background, and I'm just going to go with a random color that should be a kind of a bluey color. I could just say light blue. I tell you what, I'm just going to say light blue for. Let's see if it recognizes light blue. No. If not, then I will change it when we come to test it. We'll see how it comes out. So the background, I'll just say it's going to be light blue. And I'm going to say that the text align is going to be center. And I'm going to say that the height is going to be 10%. Now, so this 10% means that it will be 10% of the viewport window. So I'm just going to go with 10% rather than try to do 50 pixels or whatever, because it's just quicker and easier to go with a percentage for this one. Okay. So make sure that the header the names are the same as the names in your index file. So I've got container and header footer. So as you can see, I've already got a panel here with a kind of a light blue color. So this is my header footer div, as you can see. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a sidebar in that's going to go inside my container, but after the header footer. I want it to be in this area here. Okay, so I'm just going to go with a div called, a div. I'm going to call that one, I'm going to call this one sidebar, side dash bar. So this is where my kind of like links and stuff might go on the left. I'm remembering to end each div as I create it. So I'm just going to copy that, so I'll make sure I spell it right in my CSS. So in my CSS, I'm going to make another class called sidebar. And with the sidebar, the most important thing is that I'm going to get it to float left, and let's make it stand out so it's a different color. This time, let's go for background. Let's go for background. Shall I just go with yellow just so that it stands out from the other areas? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the width property, again, I'm going to use the percentage so that if we resize the viewport, then we don't have to recalculate the pixels. So I'm going to go with 15% on this. And I don't think I'm going to need to do too much else on it for the time being. So it's going to float left, hopefully it's a particular color, and it will be 15%. Okay, so let's save and refresh on that. Now, one more thing I need to do with this is add a height. So I'm just going to put in 100%, so it occupies the full width that's available to us. So you can see that the sidebar expands there, and this is floating left. And then finally, I'm going to do a main. So this is a main area where all of my kind of main text is going to go. So again, I'm going to go with the height property here, make sure it's the same as the sidebar. And then I'm just going to make sure that I have a border on this. Having a border just seems to stop any kind of like gaps. Don't really need one, but I'm just going to go with a border that's solid and white, so it doesn't stand out too much. And I'm going to go with a background color so that we can see it. Say background. Let's go with grey. Let's go with grey for the background. Okay. Okay, so we have our header, footer div in place. We have our sidebar div in place. So next we just need to put our main area. So we have we're just going to go make sure we start on the next line or line after the previous. We have a CSS rule set here called main. So we just need to have a class in a div called main. So we're just going to div class equals main, and just make sure we do the end div. And there we go. We have the header area, the sidebar area, and the main area. So because the header area is a header footer area, what I'm going to do is after this main area, I'm going to stick in another header footer class. So I'm just going to copy this, save typing it all out again, and paste that in. So you can see the header footer is in place to top and tail the page. So I could say something like H2, oops, H2, this is the header area. and the H2. And I'm going to do something similar in the footer area. So I'm going to paste that in, just change that to footer. In the sidebar area, I'm going to say this is the sidebar area, and in the main area, say this is the main area. Okay, so there you go. That is a web page ready to kind of start be, populated, adding your images and everything, using this as a template so we could copy and paste it and then link them together to make a website.